Welcome everybody for our webinar today. My name is Marianne, and as you had seen from the invite, I am a private practitioner for Therapy by Marianne, where I usually offer therapy services in individual group sessions, trainings, and capacity building. And also we have this self-work community where we usually talk about mental health issues that are affecting us, and we have monthly webinars such as this one. So we usually have different topics every month where we focus on specific issues, and this month being the month of Valentine's, and you can see I am well representing the Valentine's season. That's why we decided to talk about relationships. Now I have two incredible speakers with us today, and I am going to give a brief introduction, and then I am going to invite them to be able to speak to us and let us know more about themselves. So the first one is called Marianne A Nama. So she is a marriage and family therapist and also an EMDR practitioner, which is what we use for trauma therapy. So she's going to tell us more about herself and also what she does so that we can get to introduce her. So please let us react with claps. Let us clap for her as we welcome her. Karibu sana, Mariam.
Unmute her. Marianne, unmute her.
Oh, it's okay. Sorry. I forgot to unmute myself. Thank you, Marianne, and everyone that has joined in today. I'm very happy to be here. I hope you can all hear me. And yes, I'm a marriage and family therapist. I work with the whole family, starting from premarital counseling, couple therapy. I also specialize with working with children, adolescents, and youth, and also EMDR, which is a trauma therapy approach. There's a lot of trauma in our families. There's a lot of traumas in our environment. And so I work a lot with that. And yeah, I'm happy to be here, looking forward to interacting and wanting to know, what do you want to know about relationships, and what kind of relationship are you in that's bothering you? Each has got different aspects to consider, but generally relationships have a few things in common, and that's what we shall look at today. Yeah, and happy Valentine. It was yesterday. Happy Valentine to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We are so excited to have you. And I am going to call the second speaker. His name is Gregory Morang. He is also a counseling psychologist, and he's also an author. So he's going to tell us more about his book so that we can also buy from him, right? So karibu sana, Mr. Gregory. Gregory, you have disappeared.
No, I am around. You can hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I said my name is Gregory Morang, a counseling psychologist by profession. And yeah, I am a practitioner under Marks of Excellence Ventures. And I'm happy to be here this evening to share this. And yeah, I authored, but possibly that one is a life skills book. I asked myself, what is this if I knew when I was adolescent, that adolescent period would have been much, much better and much, much easier. And I feel delighted, and I'm ever awed by the fact that I have something on the table that is African, that is ours, that indigenous, that possibly we can have our own conversation, because we study psychology maybe from another eyes perspective, but how can we have our own conversations and our own issues, basically handling our own issues. So I'm delighted this evening to be part of this particular conversation because it's an area of my interests where I prepare people for premarital counseling, and possibly I see people under counseling and I allow people to actually decouple. You know, when you're a couple and you find it is not working, so you can decouple nicely that, you know, it doesn't need to be ugly. You know, you can just sit down and just agree to be cordial and just for it to flow very well. So basically, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity you granted me, Marianne, to be part of this particular meeting this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gregory. I like the way you said decoupling, because a lot of times people break up and they are very nasty. And sometimes this even affects us in terms of even moving on to other relationships, where you find there are these quotes in Ambiwa, fear women, you know, men will embarrass you. People are using those kinds of phrases to talk about relationships with the opposite gender, and we need to really talk about that. So I'm really glad to have someone who is a female and a male, so that every gender feels represented. I can see a lot of people. I see people also. Let me mute him. I see people have also introduced themselves. So we were introducing ourselves even for the ones who are joining. Please introduce yourself, maybe what you do, where you're coming from, and also, are you single, are you married? You never know, you may get someone from here. So the first thing that we need to ask ourselves is, what are relationships? Because you find that maybe for younger people, they usually ask those questions: what is love? What do you mean by relationships? And by sorry for that calling. So for the relationships, are we talking about necessarily romantic ones, or can they be different? So maybe Miss Mario,
Okay.
what are these we are talking about?
Thank you, Marianne, for that question. And yes, relationships are many types, you know. Relationships start from the family level. For example, there is the spousal relationship, which is the husband and wife. That's a relationship. And then there is the parent-child relationship. That's different. And then there is the sibling relationship. When it comes to marriage, there are different types of marriages. There is the heterosexual marriages, husband and wife. These days, there are also same-sex marriages, and there are also blended families. There is extended family. All those are relationships, not forgetting the workplace or colleague kind of relationship. So there are many relationships that one can look at. And of course, the romantic relationships, hoping maybe to end up in marriage or something like that. Those are some of the different types of relationships. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Gregory, what is your definition of relationships?
Thank you for having me. I think for me, a relationship is a connection. And this connection may be of different levels. First of all, is maybe in this sense, when I was brainstorming or thinking about my presentation, evaluating my own experiences and possibly what the text says, I was more thinking of possibly allow me to be a bit straightforward on this, a heterosexual kind of relationship where it's a mature and maturing male and female who come together governed by three things majorly, because for me as an intellectual, I like really presenting scientific work where there is intimacy, there is passion, and there is commitment. It can be, commitment can be of different levels. Passion can be there, intimacy can be there, you know. So possibly for me is that connection of individuals, and in this sense, male and female, and for me they have to have a certain level of maturity and also subsequently they have to work on their maturity, i.e. they continue maturing. So I think for me, that is what I would say for now about a relationship.
Thank you so much. And
In
as I was
in addition to what Marion has said, possibly they come in different levels, and for me, that's why I've narrowed down for me not to repeat what she has said.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And actually, I wanted to say, as I was listening to you, I was wondering, when you say mature, what about the ones that are, the ones that start younger, the ones, that we have in high school or even in primary school? Because understandably, some of our young people nowadays are getting into relationships very early on. So what would you make of that?
For me, the most important thing, I think being used to sessions, there is something we call prognosis, i.e. somebody has come for the sessions and possibly they are seated there and they're presenting what they think, and possibly me as a professional, I'm looking at what is the possibility of having a functional and effective relationship. What are the possibility? I think for me, that accentuate or that presents this idea of people who are mature. Possibly as we proceed, we'll come to understand what is this maturity and what are the tenets of this particular maturity. Because yes, there is this tale of Romeo and Juliet. Possibly when we had COVID, a lot of young girl possibly got pregnant. But is this kind of love that I'm talking about? I think for me, I would want to look at this relationship from a point of intimacy, a point of passion, and a point of commitment. And commitment is that you are going in, you're accepting responsibilities, you're expecting the best. There is trust, there is faith. It's a journey, it's a process. There is vulnerability, there is honest, there is there is transparency, there is loyalty, there is a win-win situation where individuals come together and they formulate a bond that through an analysis you can actually say truly there is a prognosis that this relationship has a higher possibility of becoming functional and effective, such that these particular individuals, their aspirations, their goals will actually be handled by the kind of bond they have brought together. I think for me, that's what I would make of it, because for me, I guess I have a challenge when, some people come, and they are saying that possibly want to be married. You're a 18-year-old or a 20-year-old. I'm like, hey, but anyway, we'll continue engaging, and possibly I'll be open also to learning from our participants and also maybe them learning from me. And I appreciate.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that ideally you're talking about a functional relationship, because definitely we have some challenges in all of these relationships that we are going to talk about. And that actually you opened the door for my next question, which was about what are the components of relationships. Like I said, there are people who are very skeptical about relationships. There are people who maybe fear being in relationships because of all the things that happen, or maybe their experiences in terms of even the breakups and stuff. So the question is, what are the components of healthy relationships or functional relationships that can help us now to be able to say that this relationship is at least thriving? So we can start with you, Marion.
Okay, thank you, Marianne and Gregory. I'll talk about the key components, looking at the kind of relationship that Gregory has zeroed in on, that is intimate relationships. And there are various components that are so important to think about. The first one is safety. How safe do you or do I feel while with this person? I need to establish that, you need to establish that, because some relationships are not safe at all. We can say they are insecure, but it's important to be in a secure relationship. The other thing is not to assume that there is a relationship. Some people assume there is a relationship based on their own perceptions. They have not confirmed, what kind of relationship are we having? And so it's important to confirm if you think that maybe somebody has an interest, like if you are an interest in dating you or in getting married, you don't assume, because if you assume, you'll behave a certain way and the other person will be behaving a certain way. Then they may not have you in mind for a future wife or future husband, and yet you're going along being that kind of a person to them, yet that's not where they are at. The other component is love and respect. It's so important that there must be unconditional love. Unconditional love for this person. If you decide you're in a relationship with this person, is to accept them the way that they are, because nobody is perfect. Neither you nor I nor anybody is perfect. So unconditional love, and to respect them, that they have their feelings, they have their wishes, their dreams, and can you be able to accommodate that? The other one is being honest, very, very honest and trustworthy. If one is in a relationship, they need to be able to share from their heart, but again, it depends on how safe does the other person make you feel for you to be able to open up and share from your heart. If one feels like they're walking on eggshells, if you have to walk on eggshells around someone, or if they are not considering your needs, they are only considering their needs, then those are things to be careful about. And can you or I be dependable? Accountability, very, very important, and responsibility, like, can I take responsibility for maybe what went wrong and not try to blame someone else or to make excuses? So there are very many, and I'm sure Gregory has a few others to add.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marianne. Thank you.
I liked your second point where you said, don't assume that you're in a relationship. And a lot of people tend to do this. Maybe you just find someone is being nice to you and you assume you're already in a relationship. Maybe they have not asked you out. You have also not defined the relationship. So that is very important. And now maybe Gregory can add more. And I liked also Gregory's point where this is something that I really love. It's called the triangle of love, where it has those three components. And usually with intimacy, passion, and commitment, when one is not there, then it also affects the relationship. So Gregory, over to you.
Thank you. Marianne has brought a very important item. I keep reminding my wife, I'm married and a father of 3, that assumption is the mother of all fuck-ups. Sorry to use that particular word, but assumption is the mother of all fuck-ups. There has to be clarity about self and about others. So in addition to key components of a relationship, I think for me, top on the list is a functional self and an effective self. Because I'm the carrier, I'm the one who desires, I'm the one who is present. Have I matured? Am I independent? Because for me, it is only independent people who can form interdependent relationships. Because without independence from these angles, one is physical. Physical meaning I have accepted who I am. I am tall, dark, handsome, whatever I am. I am hippie, not hippie. Name my body, going a bit deeper in psychology, my body image. Have I accepted myself? I'm dark, I'm light, I'm tall, I'm whatever I am. Have I accepted myself? For me, it's very, very, very important in a relationship. The other item is social. Do I have my own, my relationship with myself? You can never give something that you don't have. So if purely I want to be loved, there is no way somebody else can love me way beyond how I love myself. So I have to have a functional and an effective relationship with myself first before I encounter the other. Because encountering the other is quite some work. It's quite some work because they see you from all angles. They will mirror you back to yourself. They'll actually meet you. They'll actually see your weaknesses. They will see your strength, and possibly, mostly, it's a weakness. So I think for me, I have to have a functional and have matured socially. I have my own friends. You know, you will not come into my life and you start dictating who I should be with or who I should not be with. I think for me, I should mature socially to a level that I have mutual and transformative relationship and not parasitic and transactional relationship. Sorry for using these particular big words, but for me, they're very, very, very important. I am with you to make sure that you grow. I am with you in a way that I will not be a problem to myself and you as an individual. And I repeat back, I will not be when I'm with you, I'll not be a problem to myself and to you as an individual. So for me, socially is very, very important. Spiritually is very, very important. Somebody is actually making noise.
Oh, viatu za shule zako ziko.
I have muted them.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, I think for me also spiritually, you know, I have to have a functional spirituality, you know, in me, for me actually to look at it, because I'll meet somebody maybe who is not from the same faith. I'll meet somebody maybe who is a Christian, but from a different denomination. I'll meet someone maybe who has totally a different kind of religion or possibly spirituality. Am I grounded in mine? So that when I'm encountering this particular person, I'm not encountering them as half-baked. So for me, the self is actually very, 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 very important. Economically, you know, Kenya is a capitalist country. Hey, are you functional? Do you have your own cash? Or we'll be going for dates, or we are meeting and you're feeling, oh, I am actually inadequate. I tell you, hey, can we meet somewhere? And you're actually asking, can I, when you reach there before me, you're asking, if this guy doesn't come, what will I do? So financially, you know, are you there? At least do you have some, you know, do you have something for yourself? You know, it's not so much, but you have something for yourself. Are you at a certain level where you can actually say, yes, at least this 500, at least this 1,000, but at least I can share with this particular person. So for me, economically is very okay. Fundamentally, emotionally, you know, we look at possibly how men and women really interact. We men, we are more physical. Women are very emotional. But as an individual, are you emotionally intelligent as a person? Because this particular person will actually step on your toes. You know, how will you react? You know, how are you treating others? You know, you will be frustrated. How will you come out? You know, are you emotionally intelligent? Because if you're not emotionally intelligent, kindly work on yourself, because our relationship is quite some substantive work. You know, it is some substantive work. So I think for me, that's very okay. And also your moral and your ethics as an individual. Before you meet Greg, or before I meet someone else, I have to have really verified my morals and my ethics. What is this that I can do, and what is this I can and I cannot do? And am I free? You know, and that one emanates from my own freedom. And cognitively, do I understand? Do I have the tenets? Do I have the knowledge about eroticism? You know, this particular energy that will maintain with me and this particular lady that I am bringing in my life, or me and this particular gentleman I'm bringing into my life. Eroticism is actually very, 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 very important. You know, I tell people the day I wanted to become a driver, I went to a driving school. But the day I wanted to love, I don't know where I went. You know, I've been fortunate possibly being in psychology and having met people like Erich Fromm, who wrote nicely about the art of loving, the road less traveled. How can I be with somebody in a way that they also grow? How can I be with somebody in a way that they actually, you know, finding their better selves, you know, because some of us, before we get into the relationship, we are very functional. But after we get into these relationships, actually, we start to degenerate. So for me, it's very, very, very important. So in addition to functional and an effective self, find a version of self that works for you in this particular relationship. Marion has talked about trust. If there is no trust, You know, if I can't trust myself, and then therefore I cannot trust you. So for me, if there is no trust in a relationship, kindly guys, let's not try just to assume it's there. You know, it's tell yourself the truth. She has talked about accountability and responsibility. For me, if you don't feel that possibly this particular person needs to know where I am, if you cannot text me or you cannot call me and I respond that particular text immediately, you know, as in those aspects of accountability, those you know, if that thing is not there, you know, stop hiding from each other. You know, the next item is structure. You know, who are we? What are we formulating? You know, who are we and what are we formulating? You know, when we will come together, what will we form? The couple subsystem. What are the tenets of a couple subsystem? You know, how will we control our friends? How will we control our suppose we decide to marry, who will control my people? Because I have a mother, I have a father, I have a brother, and I have a sister. Who will control people from my side? You know, will I control people from your side, or you will control people from your side? When possibly we have our small place, or we are in this relationship, who can talk about what? You know, you handle your own people, I handle my own people. That they don't become a problem to me, and they don't become a problem to our relationship. I think for me that calls for quite a lot of differentiation and a lot of integration and a lot of maturity in it. And we continue maturing each and every day. It's not a place. There needs to be a clear purpose. Why are we here? You know, what is the need of being with somebody for 5 years and afterwards, after leaving them, you know, in the next few months, they announce a wedding in church and they're already married. So why were you there? So now, what is the purpose of this relationship? It has to be very, 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 very important when we are talking about this. Key components in a relationship, another one is communication. You cannot not communicate in a relationship. You keep quiet, you're communicating. You bathe, you're communicating. You sit for coffee, the way you sit, you're communicating. So in a relationship, you cannot not communicate. So the question is, what is this that you want to communicate? You know, and can you agree to be vulnerable? What is this that I know about you? If I am asked about you, you know, possibly we are dating. You know, we will busy talk about Arsenal, talk about Manchester, but we rarely talk about ourselves. Where are you coming from? Because for me, whoever I'm dating is you. I need to understand you. You know, I need to know you. So if I cannot know you, hey, let's not, you know, and how do I not communicate? What are, you know, the language, the words, you know, some words are demeaning, you know, how am I talking about other people? Because the same way I'll talk about you, you know, the issues, you know, as in, you know, the word, the attitude, you know, you will pick all these things, but in a relationship, you cannot not communicate. You communicate even when you are sleeping. You communicate even when you're eating. Even how when you're sipping that glass of wine yesterday night, you were communicating. You know, how you pick the phone, how you pick your phone for a phone call. For me, you're communicating. You know, I have a challenge where somebody is in a relationship and when they have to pick some calls, they have to walk out and really go outside there and really pick some calls. So are you not yet mature? Are you not yet decided? What is your level of commitment? So for me, it's very, 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 very important. Last but not least is compatibility. Compatibility. This is something that you will meet. You are from different races, from different tribes, from different families, different culture, but you have to actually work on you guys really finding a configuration that works for you in, you know, being a full being in this relationship. You know, not really forgetting who you are or really compromising to a level that you even don't know who you are. Even if you ask, where is this relationship ending? Where is it going? You know, if it goes sour, you know, you don't start calling men this four-legged thing. You actually take responsibilities because it is you who found yourself there. Or you start telling us how women are bad. Women are not bad. They are both to us, and possibly we have daughters. So the question of compatibility, you know, and it is something that you have to establish, and each and every time you have to work on it. 5 years in the marriage, 10 years in the marriage, 15 years in the marriage, 20 years in the marriage, you have to work constantly on compatibility. So for me, those are some of the issues that that I feel they are key components of a functional and an effective relationship. Thank you, Marianne, and thank you, Marianne.
Very, very well elaborated. And I like the way you even started with the functional and effective self. So welcome to everybody who has joined us. My name is Marianne, and as we are continuing with the conversation, I would like to see some feedback in terms of also, first of all, introduce yourselves, maybe where you're coming from, and are you single, married, in between, confused? There are people who say, I am not sure, complicated, things like that. Well, how can you be able to define yourself? And also, now that Gregory has mentioned about all this, and also as Marion taught us about the 5 components of relationships, what do you value in relationships? I would like to hear that from the audience so that we know that we are together, we are not just talking to ourselves. What are these things that you look for in a relationship? If you are single, what are you looking for in a partner? And the reason I said, Gregory, that I like the way you talked about the functional and effective self is because, as we had said, this webinar is for singles and those in relationships. And that is because a lot of us even going into relationship, we have to be ready as an individual. And a lot of people maybe jump from one relationship to another without really taking time to evaluate all these things. So that is where you're being reminded, are you okay emotionally, socially, mentally, and all of these things? And also, are you really particular about what you're looking for? Because a lot of times you find that maybe if you do not really have a picture of what you are looking for, you will end up with just anything and anyone, and it will end up failing, and then you will end up saying that, oh, fear women or men will embarrass you. But as Gregory said, you're the one who got yourself into that. So it is very key to be able to evaluate what are the roles that we play in these relationships, and also what are we doing. So I see Doris Mangi says, respect, communication. I detest hypocrisy and liars. That is very good. That is well noted. At least we are together. Jojo Molo, I see your hand, but maybe you can just type it on the chat. We will get the questions and the comments later on. So the next question now, in terms of the challenges that we are facing, like I had mentioned earlier, you find that a lot of relationships are really struggling nowadays. We have high rates of divorces. We have people, even the young ones, maybe fearing marriage. And this is because of the challenges that we are facing. But something that, as a psychologist, know is that there's always a solution to everything. And that is why we are there, because we understand there are challenges, but we can be able to navigate through them. So maybe Marion, in terms of, you are a marriage and family therapist, what are some of the common challenges that you come across? And also maybe in that line, how does someone deal with them?
Okay, challenges are many. And I like that Gregory has elaborated on a lot of things. One of the main challenges is the mental health of each person. And, you know, it's true, we invest in education, we invest in property, we invest in dressing well. When it's Valentine, you know, all the money goes to buying the new red clothes and the flowers and everything. But we tend to neglect our own mental health. And mental health comes from as far back as the families we come from, how we were brought up, childhood experiences and all that. And so without taking care of my mental health, your mental health, then when we get into relationships, we get in with a lot of baggage. And so one of the challenges is mental health, and I'd encourage everyone that's in a relationship, whether they've ever attended to it or not, that they consider doing individual mental health and also mental health as relates to the relationship. The other challenges are because of the motives that one got into marriage. What is the motive that one is in a relationship. What is one expecting out of that relationship? And then when they don't get what they're expecting, they start blaming the other person for not meeting their expectations. And maybe they didn't say, oh, I'm marrying you because you have a lot of money, or I'm marrying you because you're tall, you're handsome, and all these things. And then things go wrong and they're like, oh my God, I didn't know he's like this, she's like this. But it's because of not taking time to get to know the other person well. Because where there's a relationship that's tending towards marriage, then it's important to get to know the person well. The other thing, there's a researcher called, he's a family therapist, he's called John Gottman, and he did a research over 3,000 couples to try and find out what is it about couples and how can they stay together. So not having intentional conversations is another challenge. You know, before getting involved or getting deeper into the relationships, it's important to have intentional conversations about trust and commitment. Like, how committed are you to this? Is it for a few years? Is it for forever? You know, how are we going to resolve conflicts? Because conflicts are inevitable. Again, Gottman found that it's only 31% of relationship conflicts that can be sorted. 61% are perpetual problems. There's nothing that anybody can do about that. And it's like learning to live with them. So how are we going to be able to resolve our conflicts? What shall we be doing? You know, sex and intimacy. People get into relationships and into marriage and they've not talked about sex, you know, and then later on they are complaining about it. Finances, Gregory had mentioned. Children, how many children are we going to have, if any? Even where are we going to live? You know, things like that. Spirituality, what's going to be our spirituality? What's going to be the spirituality of our children? How are we going to raise them up? If we are of different spiritual values, then how does that affect me? Am I ready to live with that for the rest of my life, you know? And then there's growth. How do we help each other to grow? How do we help each other to achieve our, you know, each individual achieves their dreams and they also achieve dreams as a unit, you know, developing one another. When it's one-sided, then somebody is likely to be in that relationship, but is hurting and actually is being abused if they are not being allowed to grow as well. So these are some of the challenges that come because of not getting into intentional conversations about that. And also some people come into relationships without having dealt with their tantrums, you know. Again, it's about mental health. Tantrums, you know, throwing tantrums, getting angry all the time about something. And yeah, anger is good and it means something, but let's work on ourselves and let's be open to saying, hey, I don't like the way you did this, or I prefer this. And the other person says, no, me, I like it this way. And then you decide and come to an agreement of how are we going to solve this problem, you know. And besides that, having fun. Some people are too serious in the marriage. They don't have fun, you know. It's like you're the mother, and of course, based on our cultures, you're the mother, you're the father, provide, nini, nini. There's no laughter in that home. It can get so boring if we live for 50 years and all we are doing is you being the mother and me being the father. Those are some of the challenges, Marianne, amongst many others.
Thank you so much. Sorry about that. I like the way you brought about the research by Gottman, and they have the Gottman Institute, and especially on that issue of communication. Someone has commented here that I love the aspect of function and effective self, because by this you're able to know the attachment style one has. Communication is key, keeping in mind that silent treatment is common in relationships nowadays. And they usually talk about something we call the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse when it comes to relationships. And these are usually stonewalling, which is now the silent treatment. There is criticism, and then there is contempt, and then there is usually defensiveness. And with this one, these are usually things to do with communication. If you're the type to give silent treatment, if you're having an argument and you prefer to just keep quiet, if it is criticism, instead of just coming to your partner, you're criticizing them, you're calling them names, then this is also dangerous. Contempt as well, and also defensiveness. Are you the kind to defend yourself or just take accountability? Gregory had mentioned about accountability and responsibility. Whenever you make a mistake, and I've seen a certain meme where someone says that women, what is an apology? And then they say apology is the study of apples, to mean that women do not understand what apologies are, which is definitely a stereotype and a generalization. But you need to ask yourself, are you able to take accountability and responsibility for your mistakes? Are you able to own up to them and do something about them? So those are very many challenges, and maybe Gregory, you can also help us maybe to add more or elaborate in terms of especially your experience. What are the common things that you find?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. In addition to what Marion and possibly Marianne said, I think for me, one of the greatest challenge facing marriages, relationships is, lack of understanding self. Who are you? Who are you? Why are you there? Possibly sometimes you even suffer from existential crisis. You've never known why you are alive or why you are there. You're just a grown-up body, loitering in this world. So I think for me, the greatest challenge, I ask people, who is the most important person in your life? And if you're not the most important person in this life, you're loitering in this world, because believe you me, you cannot even relate with anyone, because if you don't have a concept of self. So actually you are a problem to yourself. So I think for me, one of the greatest challenges in any relationship is lack of understanding who you are. And because if you find a configuration that works for you, there is a higher possibility even loving you and being with you will actually be something that is good, and somebody will actually even long to be with you, because you're not a threat to yourself and even a threat to this world. And that one is very deep. That one we can talk about it the whole night. The importance of a functional and effective self in the relationship and in the marriage. Another one is lack of baggages. Maybe baggages. We have so many baggages that we want our partners and our wives and our husbands to actually deal with them for us. As in, deal with your baggages. Make sure that you're ready for a relationship. These baggages include, some children's, some relationships that were not ended. You had boyfriends and girlfriends who you didn't tell. Now you're in this serious relationship, or you're in this marriage. They keep on calling you weird hours of the night. So I think for me, it's very, very important just to find it trickles down to a functional self and an effective individual. The next item is deceit. We don't want to say as it is. You are fearing, you lie. It's unfortunate the many cases that we've seen in our TVs, and when people come into our therapy room, you find that this relationship its foundation is based on deceit. You purported to be something that you're not. Now that possibly this relationship will start be with this particular person, and this particular person will now start finding out who you are, and you keep shifting the goalposts. So I think for me, that's a challenge. So it trickles down to an individual. Immaturity, how are you dealing with an issue? You are 25-year-old. Do you have the competence of a 25-year-old? You are a 30-year-old person. Do you have the competences of a 30-year-old person? You are 35, you're 40 years. Do you have the competences of a 40-year, person? I think for me, immaturity, as in just agree. If you reach a point, accept, if itikia tu matokeo, and you are good to go, I think it will be great. Something else, we don't want to understand what this relationship is all about. We don't want to know what is this relationship. So some of us are using what, each historical context has its own challenges. Like today I had a client and I was sharing how the current man has a very powerful woman. This particular woman understands herself. Kenya is a capitalist society where ladies are in the market. If possibly I studied a Bachelor of Arts, a lady who studied the same, we have the same salary, in terms of job skill, we are in the same. So unless I mature up, unless I build a lot of my capacity to be with this particular person, we'll continue, we men, having many conferences and pointing at our female, our ladies, and purporting how we have been neglected and how the girl child has been empowered. But the key thing is, I myself, what is my own contribution to the person that I am today? Because they are gentlemen, they are gentlemen outside there who understand themselves and who know what they want in their own way. And the same case lies to the ladies on the other side, people who have clarity, they know what they want, and if it doesn't, it is not forthcoming. They are not wavering to actually get into one that possibly they need to fit in the many definitions of situationships. Some are called situationships. So I think for me, it's clarity of the self. And relationship challenges are many: lack of identity, codependency, as in, oh, you complete me. No, me, I'm already complete. I'm already complete. Oh, you complete me. Oh, you my life, you are my life. No, you are not. I am my life. It is a commitment. It is me who is deciding to love you. I am full and I'm meeting somebody who is mature and functional so that we can formulate something that will meet our needs and our desires and our expectation, as Marianne has said. So I think for me, it's very, 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 very important to make sure that you maintain your own identity, your own name. Some people will start calling each other names that are manipulative. Me, I prefer, call me a name that even when you call me, you meet me on the wrong, you will call me the same name. Don't call me a name that you only call me when you feel that you need to manipulate me. Indifference, lack of care, as in you have accepted the responsibility of the other person. What does it really mean to be told yes by a lady or a gentleman? Maybe right now I come from a very liberal historical context where, when I was dating, I think for me it was free. A lady could have approached me, I could have approached the lady. So I think for me it's very, very important when you say a yes, what does it really mean? What commitment comes with that? I think for me, lack of care of each other. We are married. You don't want to know. We don't want to communicate. So as you have said, contempt, degrading the other. You don't see the value of the other. I have been fortunate to actually read some journals of some people who maybe found themselves in tragedies, and the people who came forth for them are their wives. And and these people, you didn't see them whatsoever in your life. They even don't enjoy that which you have, your time. And I tell people, when the most important people are the people who will appear on your eulogy. I don't know whether our side chicks will ever appear in our eulogy. Anyway, so take care of everyone, take care of the other. The other one is violence, any form of aggression. I can be mad, as Marion was saying, issues of mental health, issues of aggression, disrespect. Oh, you blame the anger for actually hitting somebody. That is very immature in current historical context. Hitting somebody, that's very immature. What is, I think I would prefer, to respect somebody who decides to walk away, both men and women, because right now possibly we are fighting each other. It's actually very primitive that with all the education and with all the social media and everything, we are still sorting our issues like, in a primitive way. Neglect. We don't take care of each other. I think I tell people that lady who will be in my house, the person I want to be with, the person I'm in a relationship, will actually be the person I want her to be in the next 5 years. So don't reach 5 years and you are saying, oh, you're not like so and so. What have you done to give me an opportunity to grow as your boyfriend or as your girlfriend or as your husband or as a wife? And you're busy outside there admiring others. because their husbands and their wives have decided to invest in them and give them opportunity because they are not afraid. They don't have insecurities, So can we allow, nobody wrote an application to be born when they were born or the gender they found themselves in. So can we mature up enough and take that up? Another very important thing is criticism. You don't see good things in people, and this is basically, issues of, I like this word called narcissism, and especially when it comes to criticism. Whenever you're calling somebody a narcissist, there is a higher possibility you are a co-narcissist because you provide the energy. So don't blame the other person. First of all, put your house in order first. So if you see somebody's gaslighting you, kindly don't blame the other. Take care. Take the only person you can save in this world is yourself. So whenever you see that possibly, I'm dating a narcissist, there is a higher possibility you are the co-narcissist because you have chosen to be in that relationship. So the two of you are actually sick. The other one is defensiveness. So somebody will never accept. They will blame the gender and the man. And actually, that's what we call it of identification. If you find yourself using gender whenever there is issues of conflict and conflict resolution, that one shows you're very immature. Oh, I'm the man. Did you write an application to be born one?
Central Police Station.
No, I wish we had that capability. Did you write an application to be born a woman? Yeah, I wish we had that capability. So can we meet as human beings first? I'm happy to have been schooled in a humanistic school. Can we meet as human beings first? If we can connect as human beings, believe you me, taking care of each other, will be just be automatic. Because why are you doing things that you don't want the other person to do? Why are you using irrational authority? I'm the man, I'm the woman. That is irrational authority. Why are you saying people to do things that you cannot do? So I think for me, the challenges facing relationships are squarely anchored. I actually tell my clients, I am not looking at this marriage. It has problems, yes. But the manufacturers of this problem are the two people I have here. The person A do A, the other one does B. The other one does C, the other one does D. There are some things that can be articulated. There are some things that cannot be articulated. So for me, it is two of them. But the marriage or the relationship is very good. The people who manufacture issues are the people in it. The people in it. And if they stop producing this toxicity, actually the marriage is able to actually heal and thrive. Heal and thrive. That is the name. Heal and thrive. And if possibly it is not sick, it will thrive. And there is nothing beautiful in this world. Nothing beautiful like a thriving relationship. Nothing. Guys, I have seen people in my therapy room who have money. Money is not a problem. But the issues of relationships are not working. Believe me, guys, I've come to appreciate a functional and an effective thriving relationship. It is the best thing you can ever have. It cannot be bought by money, but it can be created. It can be created and people would thrive. Thank you so much, Marianne.
Really put down the points, and I feel like at the end of it all, what you're challenging us to do is just to look at ourselves, because if I am okay and you are okay, then we can come together and have a very beautiful and thriving relationship. So thank you so much. I can see people continue to comment, and maybe you can now start throwing your questions to us, especially on these challenges. And I wanted to talk to Marion. Marion had mentioned about the issue of sex and intimacy. And I wanted us to come to this point where we talk about now infidelity in terms of relationships. And we see that a lot in terms of even the way when you introduced about relationships, you said it's people. But then we have other, Gregory has mentioned about side chicks and everything. So that, first of all, the question is, can someone move past infidelity and cheating? Or how do you deal with this? And also maybe in terms of if they do not thrive, how can you be able to heal from that?
Okay, thank you for that question, Marianne. And it's true. Sometimes infidelity does happen. in relationships, in marriages and things like that. And it's important to accept, if it happens, accept that it has happened. But also some people assume. They follow people, they try to find out what's happening, and then they assume things that are not true. So it's always very important to verify information if one suspects the other, and to confront it, like talk about it and find out what is going on, what is the reason for this infidelity. Studies show that sometimes the people that are being unfaithful are going out because there's something that they are not getting in this marriage. And it's good to find out what is it that this partner is not giving you. Sometimes, for example, simple things like she doesn't listen to me, or he doesn't listen to me, or it's all about him and I want to also be listened to. Simple things like that can cause infidelity. So accepting that it has happened, confronting it, and then also not being too hard on oneself, because if somebody decides to be unfaithful, it's a decision that somebody has made, that they're going to be unfaithful. And so it has nothing to do with you, the faithful person. It's a lot more to do with the person who is being unfaithful, and he or she needs help. And can one overcome it? It's not easy for some people. There are some things that are no goes on, and that must have been agreed even at the beginning of the relationship. Some people find it difficult to forgive. Some people are forgiving. So it depends on the couple and how close they are and what it is that is happening. For the person who is wounded, it's important that they take care of themselves and that they be hopeful that things will get better, and that they acknowledge the pain, because the pain can be so much, and it's important to acknowledge that it is there and get help. It's important to get therapeutic support for both individuals and also together as a couple. Yeah, that's what I would say about infidelity. There is hope, but sometimes things may never be quite the same as they were before. But it is possible to work on those issues for some couples, not for everyone. Gregory can add, I'm sure he has something to say.
Thank you so much. I like that you mentioned that part for not being hard on yourself, because a lot of times you find that people coming into the therapy rooms, like you said, yes, we maybe the relationship may be having some challenges, but then also cheating is a choice, and the person made that choice. They could have also made the choice to communicate about these issues that are there, to be able to solve them. So at the end of the day, we ought not to really blame ourselves for that. Gregory, I didn't want you to comment about that because of time, but I just wanted for you to quickly take us through now heartbreaks, divorces, separations, what you called decoupling. How easy is it to do that, or how should we do that in a healthy way so that we don't end up maybe repeating the same patterns in other relationships, and also so that we are also not afraid to get into other relationships that could potentially be the best for us?
Thank you so much. For me to be able to talk about possibly betrayal, breakups, and possibly decoupling, allow me to state a few things that will allow me talk about those things. For a successful relationship to be there, as I said up there, a functional self and a mature self is very, very important. That is a key component, the nucleus of everything, the backbone of any relationship. Because when they come together, especially in the marriage, they form something we call couple subsystem. If a functional person and a dysfunctional person come together, they form something we call dysfunctional relationship or dysfunctional couple subsystem. So you have to verify. And that is why for me, dating is very, very, very important. Dating is meeting another person, the other person, without necessarily you have committed. No, I allow me to meet you first. Allow me to know what kind of a person I'm dealing with. You know, when possibly I know, then I will either say a yes or a no. But we are in a hurry to say a yes or a no. I don't know whether we have verified whether this is an SGR heading to Mombasa or it's the old train heading to the other side of the lake. So it's very, very important, as we said up there. So the other thing is, you have to understand as an individual, both male and women, that a relationship is a game of power. It's a game of power. So make sure you understand your power and you use it to enhance the relationship, not to destroy the relationship. Because you will be manipulated. The person manipulating you is because they have power over you. You don't know yourself. All right. So for me, a relationship is a game of power. And for me, cultivate to have a rational kind of power. Rational. That which you want the other person to do, you can actually do for them. I.e., they are coming through the corridor where the dispenser is. Kindly assist me with water. Next time when you tell them to assist you with water, they have human humility to actually assist you with water. So for me, a relationship is a game of power. Boundaries is key. Boundaries. Where do you start as an individual and where do you end? Where does he start as an individual? Where does he end? And where do two of you start and end? That one is a very, very important item in any function and an effective relationship. There must be healthy boundaries. Very, very healthy boundaries. Without the boundaries, guys, you are loitering. Because what we do in kitchen is not what we do in sitting room, and it's not what we do in the bedroom. Those three rooms in a house have different utility. So for me, it's very, very important. Boundaries. Without boundaries, guys, we are not heading anywhere. You will not have a function and an effective relationship. The other item is conflict and conflict resolution. How do we resolve this conflict? Because conflict is the SI unit of a relationship. This person is from different community, different race, different phenomenological world. Every person has his own world. We have different fears. We have different aspirations. We have different expectations. So for me, if there is no that, then there is a challenge. Conflict and conflict resolution. Communication is key. Can you say anything and everything in this relationship? If you're happy after this relationship, you're happy. If you're not happy, you're not happy. It is that particular time you're consummating your relationship or you're having sex. Can you talk about it? How was it for you? How was it for the other? Agree to be told because you don't know. I tell people, you have to keep on learning your partner because we are evolving, all of us. But possibly we think that possibly because I got the goose that lays the golden egg, I am home and dry. No, it is actually an intention. You have to really work and work and work and work and work and work and work. So if you're not willing to work, kindly don't even start this relationship. So in that compatibility, we've talked about emotional connection. It is there. When you see breakups, I have finished on those particular items, and continuous knowledge, personal development is very, very important. When you see individuals who have failed to do those things, that is now when they come and they are very, very dysfunctional. They're actually blaming the other. They're actually saying how men are bad and how women are bad, etc., etc., etc. But how do we make sure that even after cheating, even after breakups, we are able to win? The first thing is to find a configuration that works for you. For me, the reason why I would sit in my therapy room, I would sit for 3 reasons. I would sit first of all for awareness. You have to be aware that I'm a wounded person, but we are busy jumping from one relationship to the next. We don't even take time to heal, time to even reflect. So we are continuing messing the same messes that we had without even an end. I suggest that whenever a relationship comes to an end, take some time. Possibly I would actually 6 months or even 1 year heal. Such that when you're meeting the other person, you will not be reasoning like you are so and so. When they do something small, then because it is a trigger for what your other partner did, you actually start seeing them like this particular partner would. No, people need to be given a clean plate for them to write what they want. So for me, it's very, 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 very important. Very, 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 very important. So for me, an awareness of self. That is the reason why I would sit in the therapy. The next one is healing. Healing. Guys, the relationship is the most vulnerable item in this world. This person will see you naked. This person will know your aspirations. This person will know your pluses. This person will know your negatives. It is the most vulnerable level of being seen by the other. So you have to actually heal and you have to actually process. Heal and process. There are some things that possibly there are kids there, possibly you've been left with a kid or somebody has gone with your kid. You have to process and you have to heal. If you don't do that, you will be a byproduct of pain. You will be a byproduct of pain as a result of an addiction, mental issues, blaming women, calling them names, calling men names, saying men how they are bad. You will be a product of that. And basically, you are the problem. So for me, it's very, 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 very important. When you become aware of yourself, you know the path that you want to take. Do you want to love again? And how do you want to love again? So for me, awareness and healing. The other one is growth. You have to work on yourself to grow. If you've been wounded, kindly heal and possibly grow. Understand the relationship. What is the love language? How can I connect with this particular person? The other item I tell people, for you, either you are in a breakup or either you are decoupling. Give yourself 3 things. Regard yourself unconditionally. Regard yourself unconditionally. You don't need to meet any condition for you to be. As long as God has given you the breath to actually breathe, you are home and dry. The rest can be additions. Regard yourself unconditionally. Be ruthlessly genuine with yourself. We keep on waiting for people to change. He has cheated the first time. He started even cheating before you actually settled. 5 years down the line, he's still cheating. And you are busy praying and kneeling down and going Cataloni to pray. Continue praying. But this particular psychology is about patterns. This particular person has faulty patterns and they're anchored on their being. So unless this person decides to heal on themselves, you cannot help them. As a woman, there is not that thing you can give a man. It is us who commit. As a woman, there is nothing you can do to a man not to cheat. It is actually our own decision. As a man, there is nothing you can do to a woman not to cheat. It is her own decision. The day you will recognize that, believe you me, our life will be good in relationship. That it is their decision. Oh, you're blaming the son. Oh, you're blaming the other. No, it is him or her. All right. So you have to be genuine with yourself. If you want to stay with this particular person who is cheating, tell yourself, this is what I want. So continue praying, pray. And actually in Nairobi, we have a mad gonorrhea that is not actually, being cured by antibiotics. I don't know what we need to do to it. I'm still asking the medics what they are doing about it. The other item is be tender to yourself. The only meaningful and something you can understand in this world is not computer, is not a car, is not touring, it is not even surgery, is yourself. The intra-intelligence, it is the foundation of knowledge. So for me, you have to be tender to yourself. It is him who has decided to do it, not you. So for me, it's very, very important finding a configuration that works for you. And it is very important when you are formulating this relationship. What are the repercussions? The reason why we keep left in this country when we are driving is because of repercussions. You can either have a head-on with another car or you will be caught by our police, the men in blue, and they will actually get something from you if they don't take you to court. So what are the consequences of actually cheating in this relationship? And make sure you execute it like the way the sun rises from east to west. The reason why we toe to the line is because of the consequences of going out of it. Both men and women, kindly let's remain relevant to ourselves because that is the only way we can be powerful. But if you're waiting somebody, oh, you're just there, or you're just there helpless, you cannot actually help someone. So for me, it is very, very important to continuously find your own configuration. You're 30 years, you're 40 years, you're 10 years in marriage, you're 15 years in marriage, you're 20 years in marriage. This is something that you have to continue working. I know cheating, I know decoupling, I can talk it about because when you find yourself, you will actually tell the other person the simple truths. This relationship is no longer working for me. And thank you for so much. I've been with you. I think it's my time to actually walk out. I'm not walking out to go and possibly get somebody else, but it's an option that I have. But I need some time out to rethink about myself. You're not the problem. Make yourself the problem to find the solution. But if you're looking for the solution of the marriage, believe me, you'll never find it. Anyway, Marianne, thank you so much. I can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk about these things, but I'm very passionate. I'm very passionate because it's very painful, very, very painful. The kind of pain that we therapists, we share with our clients, especially failed relationship. No, like I have someone who I'm calling morning and evening because she's risking depression. But I have to do it. That is what God has called me to do. Anyway, that's why I'm very passionate about this particular topic. So thank you so much. Unless they have a question, we can.
Thank you so much. Yes, we can see the question. You had started by sitting very back, size mpaka you want to come to the screen so that we can hear and we can see. And clearly, these are things that we cannot really exhaust. In this day, we have just tried to summarize and just start the conversations. And these conversations, we can keep them going. I have shared with us our WhatsApp link. We have this community where people talk about the issues that are affecting them. You can share maybe your challenges. You can also share some insights and tips. You can join us. I have shared the link below. And also for this recording, I'm going to share it on there so that everybody can have access to it. So as we finish up, we have a few questions, and I wanted Marianne to cover this one. There's someone who asked about can we stay marriages where you find that people don't really prepare, and even as you are talking about all these components, maybe you find that you didn't really take time to build a good foundation. And the other question was that how important is the institution of marriage? Because the reality is that a lot of young people are not really either respecting it or finding it that important, because there are people who are choosing not to. So what are your thoughts on that, Marianne?
Okay, thank you for the questions. Yeah, marriage issues can be worked on at any point in time, so long as the couple or the two people accept that, yes, we have challenges and it's not working. And let's try and see what we can do. And so, again, investing in going to Gregory and others, there are even others on the platform that are marriage therapists, and getting the help that each person needs, and getting to know what will work, what will not work. I don't believe that people should stay in abusive relationships. And so there's a place for decoupling, as Gregory has said. Yeah, for people going different ways, especially where there is abuse. Abuse should not be tolerated. We have seen that couples, people are even killing each other. I mean, why? Why should I stay in a marriage, or you stay in a marriage until you're killed, you know? Women are killing men and men are killing women. It should not get to that. People should just peacefully let go and trust God for something else, but it all starts with mental health and investing in that mental health. Does marriage work? Yes, marriage works. Marriage is one of the best institutions where one can grow, because it means being with another person who is different from you in many ways, and yet you can still decide to work on it together. But are you willing to listen? Are you willing to learn the skills that are required, like listening skills? Are you willing to define love and come to a point of what does love mean to both of you? Are you willing to accepting that you're not perfect and that this other person can influence you in a way that can change your life? Or are you just rigid on saying, this is the way I am and I cannot change? You know, when two people come together, it's a give and take, you know, and it's 100% give and take. So it's not 50-50, it's let's do this 100%, 100%. And then, yes, a lot of young people these days don't believe that marriage works, because when they look at their families of origin and where they're coming from, then they can decide that marriage does not work. But it's important to get a model, to get people whose marriages are working and find out from them. So how is it that you've succeeded to be together for 50 years, for 40 years, for 30 years? It's not easy, but it can be done. And I believe it's an achievement, you know, when you can look back and say, guess what? We made it to 10 years, we made it to 20 years, we made it to 30 years, you know. There's nothing as beautiful as loving someone and being loved and being naked to someone and being able to share your feelings and how, you know, what you're thinking without fearing that you're going to be sidelined or hated or judged, you know, knowing that somebody will not be contemptuous towards you, they will not criticize you and call you names, you know, just avoiding those abusive things. They will not go away and say now they're not talking to you for 3 weeks. It's okay to not talk when you're hurting at that particular moment. Take time and come back and have a conversation about what was it that made me unhappy. Let's talk about these things. Being in a relationship, it's about giving of self and taking care of the other person and being committed to it. It's not easy, but it can be done. But then there's a lot of work to be done at the beginning, you know, and if it has not been done, it can still be done. It's never too late. Even some people come for marriage counseling and realize, oh, we didn't go through premarital, or we went through premarital, but we didn't address this or that topic. You know, we didn't discuss in-laws. We didn't discuss how do we use their money. We didn't discuss what if one person is earning and suddenly they are not earning. So it's not too late. It's a lifelong journey, and a lifelong journey where people must be willing to learn and seek help. These days, at least, we have a lot of people, psychologists and family therapists. It's not like before. And the important thing is to accept we have a problem, let's work on it and get the help that you need and invest in it. It's an investment, just like anything else. Thank you, Marianne, for the opportunity, and Gregory, and to the whole team. Marriage works. That's what I would like to say.
Yeah, they say
marriage, you want it to work. It's work, yeah.
Yeah, it is work because there are things that you ought to do. Thank you so much for that reply. I love the way you talk very calmly. You're matching, you're complementing the energy that Gregory is having with all the passion. I like that we have a very balanced panel, and maybe I can see the last two questions. I'll throw them to Gregory. Please summarize because of time. The first question, someone had asked about how to deal with a wife who throws tantrums to a point where she threatens to die by suicide. And then the other one is, how long should one date before marriage? Because like you said, people are really rushing as if ni SDR. So the question is, how long should we take? There are people who talk about the 90-day rules. There are people who talk about 2 years. I don't know. What is the, like you said, scientific or proven time for someone to be able to know each other?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Marianne. And may grace be upon that gentleman who is asking about that lady who wants to go to die by suicide in front of the kids. I think for me, it's quite of a challenge. I think for me, the best way to go about it is just maybe they need to talk about it, and they need to maybe get somebody they are comfortable with to talk about the issues. You know, maybe this gentleman is being manipulated. So I think for me, the best thing is to actually request that possibly if they want to go to a very neutral person, that they go to a neutral person. If there is somebody they are comfortable with within the family, you know, this guy needs to actually talk about these particular issues, maybe at the family level with the parents or with somebody responsible in the family. Because if such a thing happen, I think for me, it will cause a lot of issues. So I think for me, when there are witnesses that would actually say that possibly there was this, I think for me it's very, very, very important. And so the next thing, I think for me, that this particular gentleman need to seek help, you know, for himself, because I guess, you know, to just dissect what this behavior means. Is he being manipulated? Is he being taken advantage of? Is he being threatened? I think for me, it's very, very, very important to actually understand the anatomy of that behavior. What does the wife get when he's saying these particular things and when he's threatening? So I think for me, it is good to actually, for two of them to actually talk, and possibly if they are not agreeing, then they need to look somebody in the family in for them actually to know, and for them to look for the way forward, possibly seek help if possibly they're in that particular position. But for me, this gentleman needs to take this with utmost seriousness that item or that issue would need. How long should we date? First of all, there are few things that would actually influence how we date. First of all, it's distance. Sometimes you find somebody is in Europe or is in Germany or whatever, or in Dubai. They've been there for the last 3 years, 4 years, but you've been left here. This person keeps at some point, they are not communicating. So you're still seated in this country, beautiful country called Kenya. You're waiting somebody who went 5 years and waiting that possibly and telling yourself that you're still dating. I think for me, it's very, very, very clear. When we are coming into the foundation of actually forming this relationship, we are meeting. These are some of the things that I would want to know. I think for me, the age is a factor. The purpose of the relationship needs to be known right from the word. It's for sex. Kindly agree, it is for sex. Don't expect more than that. It's for sex. We are here for sex. So go for it. So for me, when you're meeting, it's good to know for how long should we be in this particular relationship, and what is the purpose of it. Possibly for me, I'm 27. I would wish possibly to settle down immediately. I am, at 30, I would want to settle. So can you talk about these things? If that is on the basis of compatibility. So I think for me, you need to talk. Good, that is one. The distance. The second thing is, are you close? Are you able to see each other? Like for me, when I was dating, I think at some point we worked in the same office. Because sometime for me, I exited the company. So we used to meet, regularly, and we dated the right way. I think for me, how close are you, and how can you talk about these particular issues? So I think for me, all that matters is these particular two individuals. But possibly don't date for 5 years. Mnaenjoyana. 5 years. What are you doing? What are you doing? You met when you are 25. You met when you are 27. I love what the Queen of England did out of seeing the drama of Prince Charles and Princess Diana. She actually, it's a decree in the royal family that a gentleman, you have to be 30 years for you to marry. And as a lady, if you have to be married in the royal family, you must be 27 years and above. In Kenya, 27-year-old has been taken to Naivasha, in Vasha, and either has been left with the bills there. You've been dated severally and dumped severally, so you understand the characteristics of a functional man and a woman. At 30 years as a gentleman, you have dated severally, and possibly who can you be with and who can you not be with. So I think for me, it's very, 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 very important as an individual, just to look at your age. Are you functional? Are you ready for it? But what are you doing 5 years and above? You're already 30. I don't know what you're waiting for. The lady is actually, you are there. So I think for me, plus 27, 30 years for the gentleman, I think for me, that's the right age, And sometimes I ask gentlemen, what are you doing? You are 30 years and you're going to a 22-year-old. What are you really doing? Get an equivalent, get somebody who can actually challenge you economically. So ending this, there are different levels of intimacy. Several levels of intimacy. The first one is physical. For the man, if you want a curvy woman, kindly don't go for one who is not curvy, because you will cheat. Because of the physical intimacy, get the perfect, what you think will give you happiness or will make you whole. Physical intimacy. The other one is emotional intimacy. Can you agree to be seen? Can you agree to be open? If you have a child there, can you actually sit this lady down and you tell her, hey, I have a child there? If you're a lady, as in, can you agree to be seen? And this particular person will never use whatever they find, the weakness they find in you, they will not actually affect you. The other one is cognitive, a meeting of the mind. You cannot have a meeting of the, kindly don't date, because you will be like this. One is heading to north, the other one is heading to south. You cannot watch a movie and you laugh at an intellectual joke, because in terms of the balance, as in one is up there, the other one is down here. So you must have cognitive intimacy. Can you have a meeting of the mind? Can you agree to disagree? No, for me, it's very, very, very important. Spirituality. In terms of, I'm not saying religion, I'm saying spirituality. The ability to connect with yourself and the concept of the deity that you deem to be supreme. That is the definition of spirituality. Do you have intimacy? Can you agree the other person to be and you are? If possibly you don't come from the same faith. Moral and ethics. What is this that I can do and what is this that I cannot do? Is it shared? Because assumption is the mother of all F's, as I said. So for me, it's very, 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 very important. Social intimacy. Can I be seen with the stomachs are here? So even they cannot open the whole door to actually alight into a car. So they actually open a very slim place. You're actually even asking whether they can actually get out of the vehicle via that slim thing. So it is something that is happening. Why? Because there is no social intimacy. You don't want to be seen. So for me, it's very, 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 very important to have those levels of intimacy. Economic, as in we are different. How do we manage our resources? How do we manage our money? Sometimes I'll be broke. Sometimes you will be broke. How do we do this? Is it what really brought us together, or it's a totality of everything? So for me, it's very, very important. Parting shot, the quality, Esther Perel said, the quality of the relationship that we have will determine the quality of life that we live. Thank you, Marianne.
You have really tried to summarize. Madam Marion, as we finish, maybe give us your parting shot and also maybe how people can be able to find you, your contacts, location, what you can provide for them.
Okay. My parting shot is get to know your partner and take your time and talk about everything. Talk about everything from childhood to where you are, to your dreams, to how you want to be in this relationship and what you're expecting out of the relationship. Some people say they have no expectations, but that's a lie. Because if they didn't have any expectations, then why would they have problems later on? So it's important to do all that. And don't be ashamed to seek help. There's so much help from therapists, and even online, you can read quite a lot of things. Let me put my, my telephone number and email on the chat. Yeah, and I wish you all good relationships. Take care of your mental health first and foremost to be able to succeed in relating to another person, whether intimacy, whether as a parent or from whatever kind of relationship. Take care of your mental health first and foremost. And God bless you all.
Thank you so much. Everybody, please help us to thank Madam Marion, and also please put on your location as well. Maybe there are people around that area. And Mr. Gregory, how can people find you? What do you do? Services you offer?
Thank you so much. I am a counseling psychologist. My offices are in Corner House, 14th floor, room A6. And for those who have a pen and a paper, however, I'll write on the chat. My contact is 0732 331 630. 0732 331 630. Thank you so much, Marianne, for enlightening a generation. I think for me, it's you have no idea what you've really done this evening to some people. You've saved a generation because you've saved one person. You have enlightened one, and one will enlighten the other. And for me, that's how it goes. And I am greatly humbled. May you grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, and that many people may be supported. Maybe you can get a few comments from the participants, then we can finish.
Thank you so much. You please type that in the chat box. So thank you so much also as well, Gregory and Marion, for agreeing to be our speakers of the day. I have really learned a lot because for me as well, I am a young person who is still single. So I've also learned about the things that I need to keep working on. I have been working on them, but then again, we can never learn ourselves enough. And also just for inspiring us that the marriage works, it is work, but we can also get insight into what we need to be able to work on so that they are successful. Thank you so much for everybody who was able to join us. We started at 70 people. Right now we are 45, 48. I am so grateful for you for sticking around, meaning that you have been able to get a lot from this. So maybe the question would go back to the participants. If you have any comment, maybe from a gentleman and a lady, to comment what you have been able to learn as we finish off. Please remember to join our WhatsApp group if you haven't, because that is where you're going to get the recording and also share to other people. So anybody can maybe put their hand up if you want to put forth a comment or a question. Marion, I had seen your hand up. I don't know if you wanted to say something to add.
Yes,
And we have
Marianne.
Patel.
There is somebody who had asked whether they should invest in a person when they are dating. And yeah, it depends on you. And some people do invest in people even as they're dating them. Some people have the money, they don't have a problem with that. The question is, if that relationship does not continue or ends, will you be okay with what you had invested, you know? So there are many factors to consider, but it depends on an individual person. I would say take your time, get to know this person well, especially if it matters to you that, oh, I bought them a car and then now they are gone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, a lot of people actually get so bitter because they say, I had invested in them, I had bought them this and this, but at the end of the day, it's to ask yourself, if it ends, will you be comfortable with that?
I tell them they were doing charity.
Okay, we end there.
How do you build a plot when you don't have the title deed? It is not clear. Where are we heading to? Who are we? Then you're busy buying cars, taking somebody for holiday in Dubai, in Diani, in Vasha, with all sorts of things, and there is no clarity. And possibly tomorrow they decide, hey, you guy, it's no longer working for me. So I tell them, kindly excuse me, you are doing charity. Just accept you did charity, a good charity for that matter. So I think for me, it's very, very important. The purpose and the clarity of who we are is very, very important. As Marion has said, ask yourself, if this person decides to walk out of you, will you be broken or will you buy a shocker? You know, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And you know, let's understand that do things to a level that you're comfortable. You know, I think for me, my desire, because I did counseling psychology at 23rd year of my life, and every person I dated, I actually told them, I'm with you, I don't know whether I'll marry you, but all that I desire is that you'll become a better person. Even if you will not end up in this particular marriage, but I'm sure you will be a better human being to live your life or to experience humanity, to experience the human experience. So I think for me, basically, my desire was that everybody, you know, who I dated grows. I don't know what tomorrow holds for me, but I want you to grow. Whether I will end up with you or you will end up with another human being, I think I wish you well. And for me, I wish them happiness. I think for me, it was really, 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 really great to think things from that angle. Thank you, Marianne. I'm seeing you smiling so much.
I'm just laughing because someone had commented that you're hitting the nail on the head. So I don't see anybody willing to comment, but I see a lot of comments in the
We have Patel. We have Patel.
Okay. I
Arendra.
haven't seen that. Patel.
Arendra Patel. He's a therapist from Mombasa.
Thank you. Sorry, the meeting has been stretched a bit too long, and I was in another meeting, but I just said let me pause. It's been very informative and elaborative, and having experienced people on the group, it adds value. So I am thankful for what you've shared, and also Madam and the organizers, Marianne. Keep on doing this. Let's improve our society, because there are a lot of divorces and children are adopting to this trend. It's called the new trend. Kuoa na kuachana. And thank you. Be blessed.
Thank you so much for being here and also for waiting until the end. Mr. George Amolo.
Hello, good evening. Hello,
Good evening.
you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can.
Okay, sorry. Today I was a little bit tired, so typing was a bit hard for me today. First, I want to appreciate for holding this forum, because a forum that actually make people to sometimes express themselves and be able to understand and talk about things that maybe they don't know how to solve them when they face this kind of relationship challenges. So for me, maybe I won't talk much, because if I had time, maybe I could have shared personally how I feel about relationship, but I will just touch it because it is very late and people are tired. Okay, for me, what I will say, maybe what I can touch on is that from the journey of relationship, I mean, from the foundation of the relationship, I think that is where everything starts. And also, I can also take it back. For those who have done maybe human lifespan and development, as well know that one thing that I noticed that we ourselves, we don't understand ourselves. That's the reason why we are faced with a lot of challenges when it comes to a relationship. And I think that gap it's because that when we are young, or maybe when we are in school, sometimes I do say that I wish if schools could have incorporated the lifespan education in the curriculum. Because for me, I only learned that topic in the university, and that is the time that I realized the kind of challenges that we face in life is because we don't understand ourselves. And this thing is there. It's human lifespan development touches about everything about human life. All the things that happening in our life is from there. So I think it's the gap that it is there, and I don't know how it will be solved unless we start maybe teaching about human lifespan and development, so that people can be able to understand themselves, how their body operates, how everything operates in their life. Another thing about relationship, maybe just to finish up with, is that we must accept that when people start a relationship, there is this kind of attention. But as time goes by, you get used to each other. The attention, the graph of relationship usually starts at the high top. So as much as you continue knowing each other, you get familiar with each other, the graph starts falling down. So one thing that people need to understand is that the life that you start when you are dating, it won't be the same life that you'll be having when you get used until marriage. So if people can be able to know how to balance that, they'll be able to understand that the difference that when we start a relationship, the graph will be high. But when we get used to each other, the graph will start falling again up to. So the only thing that people can do, I usually say that if people can grow in love, many relationships can last. But if people fall in love, many relationships don't last, because when people fall in love, they're attracted to something. But when people fall in love, when people grow in love, it means that they understand each other, weakness. They don't pretend. They express each other. They express themselves, because sometimes maybe when you are hungry, you can talk something out, and it ends there. But sometimes, people hide it, and when things accumulate, it becomes toxic and bad things happen. So that's what I can share from that short time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, George. I love that, not falling in love, growing in love. And I think it has a lot to do with the expectations that we have. People expect this perfection. We are asked, are you perfect yourself? And as we finish up, maybe on that issue of what we can be able to do, it is unfortunate that these are things that we aren't really taught. And I appreciate the way our grandmothers and people of the older age used to at least have classes with the young and teach them about these things. But what I believe is, you see, even with what we have done today, if everybody takes that responsibility to be aware, to educate themselves about these things, and be able to share with someone who is close to you, then we can all participate in making something that is big and global. So just do what you can within your capacity. Sometimes you may not be able to really formulate policies and curriculums, but hopefully with time these are going to be adopted, and also just to embrace the need for psychologists and people who can be able to talk to the society about these things. So I have been your host, Marianne A Nama. Yeah, you can be able to reach us there. I am also the admin of that group. So in case you want more, you can also be able to reach out to me. I offer therapy sessions for individuals, and also especially to do with relationships in relation to trauma, sorry. So you can be able to maybe share as well. And with that being said, I wish you a very good night, and let's meet next month where we will have our next webinar. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. God bless you. Happy Valentine.
Good night. Good night too.
Thank you and good night. But please, let's make it not more than a month. Let's meet in every 2 weeks so that we can be able to see how best we can support each other. We cannot say people are not facing challenges, but there are a lot of challenges in relationship. We agree on that. So let's make it at every given 2 weeks or 1 week. It will be helpful for most of us. Thank you.
That is well noted. We have different platforms where people share. So for us, we do monthly, because every week we focus on different topics on the WhatsApp group, and also people can feel free to share their issues and struggles. So the best thing would be to join us, and also we keep sharing other webinars and insights. Like Marion said, even some of these things we can Google, we can go to YouTube to learn more. So it is all about intentionality, but thank you for that. I appreciate you so much.